partners, they weren't working hard enough. What's wrong with them? And so just kind of threw in the towel. But 2 years later, as I began to understand that a startup is not a small version of a big company, and as I began to understand these new methods, I decided to restart this business and see what would it be like if I did that. And so this is the process I used. I started out by defining, oh, and by the way, the tool we're going to use is called the experiment board. You can download it for free on our website. It'll explain this process. And we started out by defining a very specific customer segment. So I knew that Vespa was an existing business that generates $8 billion in revenue per year. And I thought my scooters were powered by electricity, so it was a better product. It was better for the environment. And so I thought that was our competitive advantage. And so I thought, well, there are people on Craigslist right now already trying to buy a Vespa. So if I talk to them, they should be more interested in my product because my product is superior. So that was my hypothesis. And think about for a second how specific this customer segment is. We're not segmenting people based on their age and their demographic data. We're segmenting them based off a specific person we can go talk to right now. And so the problem we hypothesized was that Vespas are powered by oil. Mine is electric. It's better. We didn't define a solution off the bat. The reason we don't define a solution, even though all of you have a solution in your mind, and you probably haven't even thought about the problem yet, we don't define a solution because every customer has a problem and every problem has a solution. Not every solution solves a problem. These are called businesses that fail. Not every problem has a customer. These are also called businesses that fail. But every customer has a problem, every problem has a solution. So by focusing on the customer and the problem, you're guaranteed to find a viable business. So we took a step back, we focused on the customer and the problem. And the riskiest assumption here, the building block, which is likely to cause the whole thing to collapse, was that people actually cared about the environment who are buying Vespas. Right? If people didn't care about the environment, why would they buy an electric scooter? So we set our success criteria as we're going to interview 20 people. 5 of them must agree that they care about the environment as a motivating factor for their purchase. So what do? We put up a fake ad on Craigslist. Oof. So I took a photo from another Craigslist ad, put it here, decreased the price a little bit, got a Google Voice number, put this live in as fast as possible, a few minutes, or an hour, and my phone started ringing 20 minutes later. And I pick up the phone and I'd say, hey, how's it going? So tell me, why are you buying a Vespa? And I'd engage people in a conversation. People would say all kinds of things like, I used to study abroad in Italy, and I loved that experience, and now I'm back in New York, and I want to ride Vespas again. Another person said, my wife has a scooter, she's always riding it, and I feel left out, so I'm going to get one, we're going to ride together, it's going to be romantic. And guess how many people said, the environment is a big concern of mine, I want a more environmentally friendly way to get around. Guess how many people said that? 0. And I truly believed that people cared about the environment. In fact, this made me quite upset. I would ask people point blank, do you care about the environment? Is that like a reason you're getting a scooter? It's really environmentally friendly, don't you think? And people would say, no, I don't really care about the environment. Didn't really think about that. One person, I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, listen, man, all I want to do is wear a skinny tie and ride a Vespa. That's all he wanted to do. That was his whole goal in life. And so this experiment was invalidated, as we say in the lingo. And this was a painful experience. Like, keep in mind, I really believed I had a great idea. I believed I was the chosen one. I was one of the 5% who could be successful. And I was wrong. But this experiment only took 1 day. Right? Previously, I spent 6 months, and it was reassuring to believe that I was on the right path, but it never dawned on me that maybe people didn't want this product, or maybe my assumptions about the market were wrong. No market research report, nothing I learned in business school could have taught me what a 1-day experiment taught me. And so it was all about structuring my thinking in this logical way, because I was able to pull out that building block that I knew if it was wrong, the whole idea was wrong. I had never actually realized if that one building block was wrong, the whole idea was wrong. So just so you guys know, at the end of the call, I would kind of confess to people and say, I'm really sorry about this, but I don't have a scooter, and I'm trying to start a business. And I thought people would be pretty angry that I had pulled one over on them. But actually, people were like, oh, okay, that's really cool. My uncle started a business one time, and let me know if I can be helpful at all. And so I learned something profound, which is that we're so bored every day. When something weird happens to us, we actually kind of enjoy it. So I only wasted 5 minutes of their time. I engaged them in a really interesting conversation about their lives, and they weren't that angry that I was actually just trying to do some experimentation research on them. And you'll find that we've done this type of experiments all around the world in every culture, and people are always afraid of inconveniencing people. Doing this type of guerrilla research, which is so important for entrepreneurs because you don't have money to hire someone to do research for you. But people are usually very excited to talk to you. So it's usually an inner fear that we all have. Now, had I said, come meet me in Union Square, and they showed up, they took an hour to get there, they showed up, and I said, haha, just kidding, no scooter, they probably would have been pretty pissed. But it was only 5 minutes of their time, and they really enjoyed talking about themselves. So there you can see it was invalid. So when our experiment is wrong, what do? Do we feel really depressed about ourselves and go home and cry and go back to our old job because our idea was wrong? No, we take our learning and we pivot into a better opportunity. So our second experiment, we had been doing some other observation. We realized that in Manhattan, specifically in places like this, where it's like 12th Avenue, it's hard to get to by subway, there happen to be more scooters parked outside of buildings. And so we hypothesized, well, if you live or work in an area that's difficult to get to, it would be much more useful to own a Vespa because you'd save more time, you'd save more money. And so we thought about what do people who have a difficult commute that also don't have a Vespa? Why don't they have a Vespa? So we thought, well, maybe they don't see the benefit and the safety of owning one. Maybe they haven't had that exposure because most people we talked to in the first experiment said, I had a friend that had a scooter, and that was one of the reasons why I bought one, or I want to buy one. So we came up with a solution at this point, which is a one-page explanation of the benefit of a scooter. And the risky assumption here is that people who didn't have a scooter but could use one because of where they live or work also didn't have that exposure. Specifically, they didn't have a friend who had a scooter. And so we hypothesized that in these interviews, 8 out of 10 who have a difficult commute and don't have a Vespa should also not have friends with Vespas. That was our success criteria we came up with. And we got out of the building. We went to Starbucks. We kind of just got in line, tapped someone on the shoulder, say, hey, how's it going? It's a really nice day out. By the way, I'm just curious, where do you live? Started chatting people up. Maybe they thought we were hitting on them or something. And we'd find people who fit the criteria, and we'd say, oh, it's probably tough to get to where you work. Have you ever thought about buying a scooter? I have one. It's really convenient. And people would say, not really. I'm not a scooter person. We're like, we heard that over and over again. I'm not a scooter person. And we're like, what does that mean? That's really weird. And we realized something, that in order to own a scooter, you have to be a hipster, right? You have to love the Italian lifestyle, live in Brooklyn, wear flannel. The reason is because your mode of transportation is very personal to your identity. Like when you have a car, when you have a scooter, it defines you. The next day when you buy a scooter, your profile photo on Facebook is you like on a scooter, like looking really cool. And your friends are either going to like that photo or no one's going to like it. That's scary for people, right? You could get a message from your mom who says, hey, honey, is everything okay? Like you're running a scooter now? Has something changed? When you go to work, you now have a helmet with you. And people are going to go, oh, cool, you got a motorcycle, nice. And you're going, no, a Vespa. So this is a really scary idea for people. And this experiment was obviously invalidated. So we found that it wasn't really the exposure to a scooter that was important. And so our second experiment was invalidated again. Ouch. And so we didn't stop. We decided to do another experiment. And this time we decided to keep the same customer segment. So between the first and second experiment, we pivoted the customer segment. This time we get the same customer segment, but we realized the problem was something very different. Because to own a scooter, it costs $3,000 starting for a Vespa. This is the base model. It's not even a very good looking one, to be honest. And so if you are a young professional who's not really sure if you could fit that identity, then putting up that amount of money is a big risk for you. So we thought, well, what if we gave people the opportunity to try it, to rent it for a month? If it fit their identity, they could then buy it from us. Okay? And so the risky assumption here was that they would pay $250 for that first month, and then be able to buy it afterwards. The success criteria we set was to get 15 emails from a landing page in 2 hours. So this is a landing page that we developed. You see it says, rent this Vespa for $250 a month. If you love it, buy it at a discounted price. Click here to sign up. This actually just took like an hour, and it's not even real HTML. It's just an image. And if you click on the button, it's like a CSS div that goes to a survey. And the survey says, we're so sorry, we're coming soon. Please fill out your information, and you'll be able to order as soon as we're available. And we took testimonials from people that had scooters already. And we made sure that it wasn't the voice of the customer that we were targeting, because now we had interviewed so many people, we actually knew exactly what people were thinking. So we knew exactly how to write the copy. And we launched this page on social media. I contacted the people we talked to on Craigslist. And the response we got was incredible. We didn't hit 15 people signed up in 2 hours. We hit 50. And in the comments section of the form that they had to fill out, there were people typing in all caps, like, this is the greatest thing ever. I've been looking for this for so long. When I posted on Facebook, I had people I hadn't talked to in a year or so being like, wow, Trevor, what a great idea. Everyone was liking it up. People were tweeting us on Twitter saying, this is such a great idea. And we went back to some of the people that we had met in the Starbucks, and we were talking to them in person, and we're like, hey, we have an idea for you. What if you could rent this scooter, and if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, you can just return it, and all you have to pay is $250. And the response we got was from people being like, initially in the conversation, they were kind of excited to talk to us, and then when we started talking about scooters, they were like, kind of getting uncomfortable and losing interest. But then we said, hey, well, what about you could do this? They went from being like, kind of like, why are you back? To being like, really? I could do that? And like their posture changed, their chests popped up, their eyes went wide open. They were foaming at the mouth. They were so interested. They're like, how can I sign up right now for this? And so we knew that was valid at this point, and we learned that people love this idea. So this whole process only took me 3 days, whereas previously I had spent 6 months working on this business just in the first column, the first experiment. And I didn't know why it wasn't succeeding. I thought it was my own abilities that were limiting me, not the fact that nobody wanted this product. And so I didn't actually decide to start this scooter business. Actually, I learned that this process was so powerful that many entrepreneurs need to learn this method. And that's how we created the Lean Startup Machine. But the way we created it was by following this exact process. So let me show you what we did. The first risk we had was, do people want to learn this method that we just found was so incredible? And we decided to host an NYC workshop with 50 people. And in 1 month, we were successful. We sold out that workshop. We came up with the next risk, which was, is there demand in other cities? We decided to host a workshop in Chicago, Boston, San Francisco. And in 6 months, we did that. There's some failed experiments in between here, obviously, but I'm just showing you kind of the high level. And we wanted to go to other countries. Could we do it in London? We also tried to do Scotland. The Scotland workshop didn't work, but we did it in London about 5 months later. At this point, I had sunk a year of my life into this. I was doing it part-time. This is why some of these took so long. You could probably say, oh, I could do a workshop in London in less than 5 months. I'd try it. And we wanted to see, could this be sustainable in the long run? So this is a really great technique if you have a product in the market. I highly recommend you use this technique if you have a product in the market. Ask your customers, how disappointed would you be if we took the product away and it vanished off the face of the planet? If you could no longer use this product, how disappointed would you be? Typically, if you get 40% of your customers to say that they would be very disappointed if your product no longer existed, you have product market fit. You have a product people want. It can be a sustainable business. And so I expected that when we did this, we would get like close to 40% or above 40%. I thought that it was a good idea and people liked it. But we found out that 70% of people said this was like a life-changing experience to go through this process. And that was emotionally, that really pushed me over the edge to decide to go full-time into this business. Had I not seen the metric that showed, yes, people love your product, I would have probably not have gone full-time on it. And so this was, this was really great. This made me feel really good. And what do we do next? We tested the next risk, okay? See how this process, like everything you do is an experiment in your business as you're growing your business. It never stops. And so this was really the crossroads for me as to whether or not this business could work. I decided, could we actually do enough frequency of these workshops in order for it to be viable? And we said, if I can't do 50 workshops in 1 year, putting all my energy into this, then it wouldn't be a good business. And so this was really scary. Actually, I still remember today, it was like midnight, I'm lying in bed writing an email to all of my friends to tell them we're going to do 50 workshops in a year. I didn't say, we're trying to do 50 workshops in a year. I said, we're going to do it, and these are all the cities. We actually used a technique called Unlock Your City, which we still use today, where we wanted to get email signups to the workshops before we decided to launch in that city. So we used the whole demand testing for every single city. And what do you know? Within 1 year, we did 63 workshops. And so today, we're now doing hundreds of workshops all across the world in cities that I have never heard of until they were unlocked, places I can't even pronounce that well, in South America and Africa, all over the place. And this business is generating over $2 million in revenue for us because we followed this process. And I have one more story for you guys. So we used the same process again to launch a new product, which we just launched 3 months ago. And it's called Quick MVP. Basically, it's a way to test any business idea with a landing page and Google AdWords. This is a technique that we observed in the workshop, people doing it. And it was very useful for people among all the 3 methods I showed you earlier. This is the pre-selling method that we did with the Vespa scooters. And so we went about testing this. We didn't invest all of our time just because we thought we were really smart. We decided to see if people pay a subscription. And we wanted to get people pay $9 a month. And we got 25 paid. Our goal was to get 20 at $9 a month. We wanted to see that people would actually work on this outside of the workshop. So the product was landing page plus AdWords, but all we developed on the first beginning was just the landing page. We didn't develop the whole product, even though we had people wanting to pay for it. We developed just the landing page feature. And so we launched that. We want to say 33% of people are going to launch a page when they sign up, and we got 65%. And so I didn't expect this. I thought this was great. It was encouraging. Then we built the ads part. We wanted to see, are people going to place ads? And even to this day, like one of the reasons why we wanted to test this before building the ads is because my developers have been working on fixing bugs for the last 2 months. And developers are incredibly expensive. The development side of my team makes it twice as much as the business side of my team, and they're really hard to hire. So we wanted to see, will people actually place the ads, or we won't implement that feature. And we got 73% of people who created a landing page that also created an ad. And we wanted to see, can we grow quickly? Once we have this in the market, do we have enough existing customers to send this to that we can get to a 100K run rate? This was our goal. Before I allocated my developers to work more on this product, I wanted to hit this business metric first. So we did that, and within 53 days, we hit that benchmark. And I just took a screenshot today of our latest stats after 3 months in the market. And so this is what it looks like today. And we're still tackling our riskiest assumption every step along the way to make sure that this business is worth investing more resources in, because I could have my developers work on other product ideas I have. You will have millions of ideas throughout your life, and most of them are bad. And so using this process is going to help you to realize if the market really wants what you're building. So thank you all so much. I wish you the best of luck in your new company.